Hey everybody, welcome to Lore Friday for January 29th, 2021. I'm your host, DM Galabon. Alright, tonight we're getting very close to the end of Princes of the Apocalypse. In fact, we're looking at the last of the portals, which is the Earth portal. I believe this is the last of the portals, the Earth portal. Um, and, you know, the potential with all of these portals is that you could be having to face off against one of the princes of the apocalypse, which is why they created the adventure the way they did, with the artifact having to be used to close the portal, because these are practically impossible for mortal characters to defeat. So the idea is they're going to dangle an artifact in front of you and then make you destroy the artifact in order to get rid of the threat, the big bad. So let's see what they do in this particular one. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to our uh, next page here. All right, so Princess of the Apocalypse, or the Black Geode, is an adventure for level 12 characters. It comes out of the Princess of the Apocalypse campaign, and the main purpose behind this adventure is foiling a villain's evil scheme. Um, the setting for this, as with all of these, is they're underground caverns. That these caverns are slowly being transformed to take on the look of the elemental plane of Earth, with creepy glowing crystals throughout, and um, the underground landscape shifting and moving in odd and strange ways. So the cult of the Black Earth has discovered a portal to elemental plane of Earth and is attempting to summon their prince through it to shake the world above to its knees. Um, the most powerful forces and allies of the cult of elemental Earth are found down here in this particular portal. As a quick overview and synopsis, you need to get past the places where the Earth is crumbling, collapsing, or groaning under the influence of the plane of elemental Earth. You also need to avoid capture by all of the cultists who are expecting the party in this case, because their cult leader has had a vision of the party and knows what the party looks like, even if they have never interacted with the cult leader. Avoid all the creatures from the elemental plane of Earth that have wandered in here, and then face off against the cult leader, and perhaps, if you're unlucky, face off against the elemental prince of Earth himself, who's Ogremok. Now, the most common enemy that you're going to find in here are humanoid cultists. The toughest potential encounter is going to be the cult leader, Marlos Ernrail, with an earth elemental Myrmidon, and Ogremok himself. The special items in here, you'll find the legendary weapon Iron Fang, an evil prince from the elemental plane of Earth, is a special creature that you can find here. Things I like the best about this, how unstable these underground caverns are. It makes an exciting and treacherous setting for an adventure. And you can take, even if you want to break this adventure up into even smaller components. We're going to take a look at the random encounter table, and we're going to focus mainly on the natural hazards that there are. And I think if you wanted to give your party a really exciting thing, like you're trying to get through um, a system of underground caverns, um, giving them these little things and describing, what happens as they are making their way through. And, maybe they take a wrong turn and their path gets blocked. And so, the you have a you have maybe as a success for a skills challenge, they get through without having to have a fight. As a failure, they wind up getting trapped in an area where they have to fight their way out from this underground cavern. And sort of the vivid descriptions they give of what's going on can be a nice way of punctuating every few rolls in a system like that, so that it gives your players a sense of, oh gosh, we're really in a lot of trouble. We got to get out of here. Um, Easiest homebrew adaptation. It's a great setting for any kind of distressed underground locale, perhaps a mine after a collapse that's caused by an earthquake or a volcano. How could you use this with other editions? You populate it with earth creatures from any edition to capture the full feel. Use earth creatures from older versions of the Temple of Elemental Evil, which has appeared in several different versions of D&D, several different editions of D&D. So, let's take a look at our map here first to kind of get an overview. Now, where you come in, I'm sorry, I gone to the player map and not the. So you come in down here at the bottom, and you work your way through and wind your way all the way through here, and the actual portal to the plane of elemental earth is way up here in G17. So you kind of wind your way through this whole area, and there's uh, yeah, okay, so that is, yeah. Oh, I need to make a page for that in a minute. So, all right, the features. Characters will be recognized here because Marlos Ernrail has seen them in his visions. Earth Prophet has given accurate descriptions of the characters to all the cultists in the Black Geode. So, unlike some of the other ones where the cultists may come in, or the PCs may come in, try to be disguised as cultists and try to work their way through by deception. In this particular case, all the cultists have been alerted to what the players look like or what the characters look like, and so they will be ready for them. And then the random encounters. You get a random encounter every 30 minutes, and here's the different things I was talking about. There's bleeding earth, ceiling collapse, crystal extrusion, uh, fissures, and flowstone growth. So bleeding earth, a nearby wall swells and then splits open, oozing thick black mud. So if your characters are just kind of making their way through an area that's distressed, and you just give them that description of, the cavern wall opens and this thick black mud starts to ooze out, that's gonna be like, oh wow, oh crap, they're gonna have to run. Ceiling collapse. A tremor causes part of the ceiling to collapse above a random party member, and then deck save or take some damage. A crystal extrusion. A crack splits open on a nearby wall, extruding foot-long luminous violet crystals. Um, and these violet crystals are all over the place, and they're one of the signs of the approach of the Prince of Elemental Evil, Evil Elemental Earth, I should say. Fissure causes, or tremor causes a fissure 1d10 by, or 1d6 by 10 feet deep to open in a floor beneath one party member. And then again, there's a dex check, or you fall in and take normal falling damage. And then flowstone growth. Stalactites within 30 feet of the party begin to drip like melting wax. By the time the change ceases, each stalactite has grown 1d4 feet longer. If a stalactite touches the opposite surface, it becomes a natural column. So, just having these different things that can go on, you just take those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different potential things, pull them out of this adventure and put it into a place where your party members are trying to make their way through, you know, like I said, maybe they're going into a mine after there's been a mining accident or after there's been an earthquake or something and they're trying to rescue miners. Um, or maybe there's a volcano that's active and they've got to go into this underground thing to try to get artifacts out or save people, like from a dwarven village or a gnomish village or something like that. Uh, these are really cool things that you can do to sort of heighten the tension as the players are trying to navigate through this area that's already kind of foreign because it's underground and in caves and everything is dark. Um, that's just a way of making it even a little bit more creepy. So, um, as you go through here, you're going to find several different interesting things. One of them is a crazy, and by that I do mean insane, a crazy cultist and his companion, friend slash, yeah, friend slash companion, a Zorn, um, and they will demand tribute. Kelthar will demand tribute of 500 gold pieces worth of gems to feed to the Zorn. And the Zorn has convinced him, the Zorn is just hungry, but the Zorn has convinced him that any wealth that he eats is a tribute to the elemental prince of, or the prince of elemental earth. And then there's some ropers, and then there's a whole garden of these crystals, and the glow and the density of them is such that it causes a confusion effect, like the spell. And so you can play around with your players and have them kind of, if they fail their rolls, you can sort of throw all sorts of illusory things at them. Then there's an actual entrance to the Underdark here that people might go through. Um, and there's Mudflow Falls, so there's mud, and there's a Cavern of the Lost Crown, which is a humanoid bones, and there's a ghost and some specters, some undead in there. Um, and there's the Lost Crown of Besselmer. Besselmer is the ancient dwarven kingdom that has the ruins of which have kind of form an integral part of this entire campaign. So there's like a whole nother, almost like a little side quest and a side story that goes off in that. Um, there's hook horrors in here. Um, Earth Elemental Myrmidons, some Black Earth Guards, Burrow Sharks, Stone Melders. So these are starting to get into your high level cultist. Um, the Burrow Sharks are interesting people. They're humanoids who have bonded with a uh, they've bonded with Bulette, and because of the rituals they have undergone, they can ride the Bulette when the Bulette moves through solid earth. So they can actually be on the back of this thing when it comes up onto the surface, and fights people on the surface. So that's a pretty insane sort of trick there. There's an arcane foundry. And a cathedral of stone, and then finally we get to the Earth portal itself. And if you're really unlucky when you're at this Earth portal, if you have defeated the other elemental, um, if Marlos Ernrail is the last of the elemental uh, prophets left, then you wind up having to fight him and Ogremok at the same time. and that would be in this area here, this big, huge area. And the thing about this map, each of these squares is a 10-foot square instead of a 5-foot square. So if you think that cavern is big, it's actually twice as large as you believe it is, based on what normally you have with 5-foot maps in 5e. So Marlos Urnrail, the prophet of elemental earth, he is actually, it's a he that's a Medusa. Because I guess in D&D, Medusas are actually a race, not a creature, like they are in actual mythology. So, but I guess that shouldn't that shouldn't be a surprise. They did the same thing with Minotaur, right? I mean, the Minotaur was a single creature in Greek myth, but they've turned that into a race. So I shouldn't be surprised that there's an entire race of Medusas. Uh, so, the when you fight him in the Earth node, he has lair actions, and he gets one uh, one use of legendary resistance. So he makes attacks with his snake hair, which will deal poison damage as well as piercing damage. Then he uses this legendary pick called Iron Fang, which deals both piercing damage and thunder damage. And then he has a petrifying gaze. And of course, if he looks at you, he will turn you to stone. All right, so now that would be bad enough fighting him, but he is always accompanied by at least one Earth Elemental Myrmidon. These guys are Earth Elementals wearing plate mail. So, and they have some bonus attacks. So, um, they've got this maul. Makes two maul attacks instead of the slam attacks like Earth Elementals normally do. Then it also has a thunderous strike, where on a maul attack, if the attack hits, it deals an extra 3d10 thunder damage, and has the potential to knock the target or knock the victim prone uh, on its attack. So that's pretty that's pretty bad to put Marlos and an Earth Elemental Myrmidon. But if he's actually completed the ritual and Ogremok himself is coming through, now you get to face off with this guy. This guy is a gargantuan elemental, neutral evil, has an armor class of 20 and 526 hit points. So, yeah, just absolutely huge. Has damage resistances to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical. Is immune to charm, fight, and okay. Has empowered attacks, so the slam attacks are treated as magical and adamantine for the purpose of bypassing resistance. Innate spell casting, meld into stone, move earth, and wall of stone. Um, and then legendary resistances 3 times a day. Is considered a siege monster. Has legendary actions. The attacks are plus 14 to hit with a 4d10 plus 8 damage. He can hurl a boulder with plus 6 to hit with a range of 500 feet and 7d10 plus 8 damage. And he can summon elementals. Summons up to 3 earth elementals, and he loses 30 hit points for each elemental he summons. And those elementals have maximum hit points and appear within 100 feet of Ogremok and disappear if Ogremok is reduced to 0 hit points. So Ogremok also can take 3 legendary actions, and he can illuminate his crystals. So each, which basically acts like basically acts like fairy fire. The illuminating crystal's legendary action acts like fairy fire. Each creature within 30 feet becomes outlined in orange light, shedding dim light in a 10-foot radius. Any attack against the affected creature has advantage. Stomp costs 2 actions, causing a tremor that extends in a 30-foot radius. Other creatures standing on the ground must succeed on a DC 23 Dex save or fall prone, and create gargoyle. So um, he can reduce his own hit points by 50 by breaking off a chunk of his body and placing it on the ground in an occupied space within 15 feet, which instantly transforms into a gargoyle and acts on the same initiative count as Ogremok. So, yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. That's the reason that you might wind up having to destroy this particular weapon, and we're going to go back and look at what this Iron Fang is all about. Iron Fang is an artifact. It's a legendary war pick that requires attunement, um, and you have these other things, but the way to send Ogremok back to his plane is to throw this war pick into the portal, which will instantly destroy the war pick, and it will suck Ogremok back through into the elemental plane of Earth, or basically it'll close the portal and push Ogremok back into the elemental plane, and now he can't come through. So your choice is, do you want to try to fight that big thing and try to keep the pick, or do you want to burn down Marlowe's urn rail as fast as you can, get that pick, and then try to destroy it? Because it costs attunement to use the pick anyway, so you need an hour. And if you're in the middle of battle, you're not going to be able to do that. So you might as well just go ahead and use it that way. Now that's what a lot of players would decide to do, but I know you're gonna have that one player at your table that's gonna be, oh, but I want that. I want it so much. And if you allow your players to get a legendary artifact, you alone are responsible for what happens to your campaign. That's all I'm saying. All right. Well, that is going to do it for our look at the Black Geode. I'm really curious if you have played through the Black Geode adventure as part of Princes of Elemental Evil. What did you think about it? What was your favorite part about that adventure, whether you were running it as a DM or whether you were playing it as a player? Um, how did everything resolve itself? And, did you get all the way through? Were you able to was the party able to be victorious? And if they were, did they ever have to confront Ogremok, or were they able to deal with Marlos Ernrail before before he finished the ritual and was ready to summon him? Let me know that in the comments below. Also, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, click the post notification bell, and look in the description to find all the ways you can follow me on social media and how you can follow the actual play games that I run every week over on my Twitch channel. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out this evening. Appreciate you guys so much. Be safe. Take care. Good night.